Hello. I call this Committee of the Whole School Board meeting Tuesday, June 23rd to order. Rich, can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Baranowski. Mrs. Crossan.
Present.
Mrs. DiPaolo.
Present.
Mr. Godikson. Mr. Hartline.
Present.
Mrs. Krieger.
Here.
Dr. McGuire.
Here.
Mr. Martin. Mr. Sadowski.
Here.
9 members present.
Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. All right, announcements. Before the meeting, we had an executive session for safety and security. Superintendent's report.
Mrs. Crossan, we do have a number of presentations tonight, and so in advance of our first and largest presentation, and that being the 26-27 final budget, I just want to take an opportunity to thank Mr. Greenwood and also our administrative team, our board, our finance chair, Mrs. Krieger in particular. There has been a tremendous amount of work put into tackling a very significant financial issue in our district. We're looking at a very, very large deficit to us of $7 million. And as Mr. Greenwood presents tonight, it represents dozens and dozens and dozens of meetings and conversations and working with the public, going out into the community, working with constituents, and just really being transparent about the entire process and what we're facing, educating our public, educating our employees, educating our administrators, looking at ways to pull back, thinking through a different lens, a different mindset. It's not a problem that we said that we could solve in 1 year. It is a problem that we believe that we can tackle within 3. Mr. Greenwood's going to be talking more detail about that, but I just would be remiss if I did not thank the collective effort and just the thought, the time, the sacrifice, and hard work that went into bringing this to you tonight. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't bring that up. Very proud of the work that was accomplished and excited for the direction that we are headed in moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Greenwood.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Lukaba. I appreciate that. I really do believe this was a group effort, administrators and the board coming together to effectively address a challenge that was before us. Tonight, we'll be seeking approval for the proposed 26-27 final general fund budget. And to start, I'm going to take us back a little bit, but the compass that directs our comprehensive plan played a critical role in our budget process, keeping us accountable to our students and to the opportunities that define Centennial. The budget process also reflected a truly unified effort between the administration, the board, with both working collaboratively and embracing the shared responsibility and mutual accountability to address the fiscal challenges facing the district. This year's budget process started in October as administration, working with the Finance Committee, began evaluating options the district could take to reduce the deficit forecasted to be $10 million. The initiatives came from those discussions were shared with the board on December 9th and included a three-year focus on scheduling, out-of-district placements, the IU classrooms at Davis, expense evaluation, and a retirement incentive. Our budget work session on January 29th focused on understanding the causes of the deficit, aligning our resources and strategies to bridge the district's structural budget imbalance. The discussion centered around the converging pressures impacting the budget, including rising operational costs, unfunded mandates, and a lagging revenue growth. The path forward centered on continuing to deliver high-quality, student-focused educational experiences while maintaining responsible stewardship of public resources in alignment with our comprehensive plan. Following the work session, administration, again in partnership with the Finance Committee, identified 5 key initiatives along with the necessary steps and timelines for implementation. These initiatives focused on service optimization, financial rigor, and workforce transition. The estimated savings target in year 1 was $3.2 million. And over the past several months, we've provided updates on each of these initiatives and are happy to report that each has been completed. They included the transfer of entity, which will not only save the district significant money, but it will also reunite these students with their classmates at Davis. Zero-based budgeting, and while challenging, it did require us all to justify every expenditure by asking the following short questions: whether the expense was required by law or contractual obligation, whether the expense was essential to our core operations, whether the expense directly supported district priorities and strategic goals, and lastly, whether the expenditure represented the most efficient and cost-effective option. Our third initiative, scheduling, focused on the personnel costs that make up our largest share of the district's budget. School and central office administrators carefully reviewed staffing levels, course offerings, and scheduling across the district to maintain rigor while improving efficiencies. The retirement incentive started out small and grew as we worked across the district to put forth a retirement incentive plan that was truly unique. This plan will continue to provide savings as we move into the future. And the last initiative is more about financial rigor than is about cost savings, making sure that the district is doing everything it can to recover funding opportunities. We stayed true to the goal shared back in December to ensure fiscal responsibility through a comprehensive examination of district expenditures, aligning financial resources with strategic priorities that advance high-quality student outcomes with a focus on efficiency. And our efforts over the past 6 months have addressed nearly every focused area we discussed back in December. I hear another voice, I'm sorry. Okay. While not among our initial initiatives, the Finance Committee expanded the community outreach at the suggestion of Mrs. Krieger, the chair of the Finance Committee, and in partnership with our home and school associations, meetings were held at each school as well as at Centennial Station to provide community members with insight into the fiscal challenges facing the district and the strategies being implemented to address them. In addition, Mrs. Krieger and Dr. Lukova jointly penned a letter to the community outlining these challenges and the district's plan to mitigate them. Copies of the letter were distributed through the tax offices in Warminster, Ivyland, and Upper Southampton, and were also made available on the district's website. And in an effort to increase financial transparency, and with the insight of the committee again, we added a financial dashboard to our website that provides current information on enrollment, costs, our 25-26 budget, along with current year-to-date financial information, as well as our full year projection. The dashboard truly helped provide context when discussing federal and state mandates, like the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, and the rising cost of special education and its impact to our budget. As noted at the start, the work over the past 6 months was designed to ensure that our path forward remained aligned with our core goals, preserving high-quality educational experiences our students deserve while serving as responsible stewards for the public resources. And I believe the collective work the administration and board, through the collective work of the administration and board, we have increased the quality and we've significantly improved our stewardship. The final general fund budget significantly reflects significant progress in addressing the district's fiscal challenges. Through the initiatives we have discussed, forecasted expenditures have been reduced by $3.9 million, exceeding our initial target of $3.2 million, and included in the savings over $400,000 compared to our proposed final budget just shared in May. As a result, the overall budget deficit has been reduced from $7 million in the preliminary general fund budget to $2.8 million in the final proposed budget, a 60% reduction. The district's financial outlook has improved as local revenues are projected to increase by approximately 2%, inclusive of the full Act 1 increase of 3.5%, while expenditures are forecasted to grow by only 0.5%, resulting in a positive budgetary swing of approximately $2.2 million. While the district will continue to utilize fund balance to support operations, the reduced deficit limits the draw on our reserves. Under the final proposed budget, the general fund budget is projected to decrease from $7.4 million to approximately $4.6 million. This slide provides a little history with regard to state, federal, and local revenue. As you can see, federal revenue down in the bottom in blue has returned to below COVID levels, and state revenue, shown in purple, after a couple years of increased funding, is projected to remain flat. The pie chart on the right shows the growing burden on local revenue, where local revenue has grown from 71% 5 years ago to 73% in 26-27. A look at our projected expenditures. Salary and benefits makes up 72% of all expenses, and if we combine that with debt service, the total is 79%. The other expenses, purchases, supplies, property, total 21% of all expenses, down from 23.4% just last year. This slide shows the changes by object code or expense category between February's preliminary budget and tonight's final proposed budget. A reduction, as I had shared earlier, of $3.9 million or 2.4%. The 5-year plan shows the ongoing funding challenges faced by the district as we navigate reduced federal and state support against growing operational costs. Are there any questions before I jump into the other funds? We can come back to them. No? Okay. Along with the general fund budget, we'll be asking tonight for the approval of the capital fund, the debt service fund, and the cafeteria fund budgets. The capital fund is funded through transfers from debt service. The box on the left lists the proposed capital projects for facilities, transportation, and technology. All projects would be subject to an RFP and would come before the board to be individually approved. The debt service fund serves as the district's savings fund. The budget includes earnings on investment as well as a transfer out to the capital fund. And lastly, the last fund to share is the cafeteria fund. All food service activity is tracked and accounted for through within Fund 50, the food service account. And it's worth noting that this will be the fourth year under Miss Denny that the district will have not raised the price for a paid student lunch. The food service team continues to go above and beyond in providing new and exciting opportunities for our students. Are there any questions that I can ask? And I do want to echo Dr. Lukaba's comments earlier, that again, it has been a true group effort, both the administration at the school level, the administration here and the central office, as well as colleagues across the district, and of course the board. And our thanks to Mrs. Krieger and Mr. Hartline and Mrs. Crossan, who are members of the Finance Committee, for their additional work to get us to this place.
Would you happen to know, I don't want to put you on the spot, the challenges for our neighboring districts also, just so the community knows that it's not just Centennial facing deficits? Would you know what other surrounding districts are facing?
I don't have their final reports. I do not. I do know that that Central Bucks increased their budget by 6%, I believe was their tax increase. I believe Neshaminy, who has a higher Act 1, it's closer to 4.1. I think they went to the 4.1 number, to name a few. I know New Hope Silbury also exceeded the Act 1 index with their tax increase, and it was attributable to their special education costs.
Just so the community is aware that it's not just Centennial facing a deficit, it's most school districts.
It is. It is truly, again, as we've toured and shared those thoughts, Mrs. Crossan, it is a state challenge, right? It is the funding methodology for schools in Pennsylvania. Everyone is experiencing the same growth in special education costs. Those are overwhelming, I think, the process and those mandates that require us to do that work comes at a cost.
Thank you.
I think one other important point is that the work that our team has done this year is work that will continue in perpetuity. It's not something that we will abandon and not do moving forward. We will continue to zero-based budget. We will continue to do the projections. We'll continue to look at leveraging our spend with vendors and consolidation. We'll continue to look at our efficiencies. We will study our modes of delivery. We'll study the way that we section and staff and schedule. Always keeping that very important slide in play, which is being good financial stewards, but not at the expense of educational quality, and studying how that we can serve both of those masters. But the habits, I call them habits and mindsets, that we are ingraining are here to stay, and I believe that they will continue to yield a very positive direction. I think it's really noteworthy, and Mr. Greenwood brought it up again, but for the first time in, 7 years or more,
Yep.
Our expenditures are below our revenues. And that's very significant, and that's something to be proud of. I'm especially proud of the work that you've done in facilitating that to get to the point where we can say that more money is coming in than is leaving the district, and that has not been the case for quite some time.
Does anybody have any questions?
I think the other thing to note is some of the other, like Ben Salem, and I know Cherry Hill, had tremendous reductions in force in order to
Yeah.
cope with it. And I think we've taken a very metered approach to what we're doing, understanding what we're up against. And I think it's important to note, and I know you, Dr. Lugaba, has said, people have asked, other districts have asked, how did you do this retirement incentive? I mean, I think, and I'm very confident that 3 years from now, we will have no deficit.
Absolutely. And of course, reductions in force are always an option, but that comes at a tremendous cultural impact. And it's very hard to overcome some of the morale issues that come with that. And I think it's very important when we're trying to build culture, we're trying to build team and a sense of collective efficacy. It's one of the norms that we talk about in all our presentations. And to talk about valuing people and valuing that, and then to cut a wide swath through our employees when there are other ways that we can do it. And I think our work demonstrated that there are other ways that we can do it. There are other thoughtful approaches that can yield the same outcome and not at the expense of morale in people's lives.
I'm sure BCIU is feeling the pressure.
That's Benson was another very good example, right? So their deficit was over $10 million, and the actions they took to resolve it sort of differed from our plan.
Have we begun billing access?
So we have the person in place. They officially start in July, and we'll begin that process. We've always done it to some extent, and we've always done it using subcontracting and through the IU. Now that we'll be absorbing that, we will continue to maintain and keep the board updated on just how we are using that as a revenue stream. Really, we've learned so much about how to do it, and it really comes down to registering families, making sure that families are registered and eligible. And the outreach, that'll be some of the initial work, is making sure that every eligible student and family is appropriately registered so that we can maximize those monies from the state.
And then with that, the money that we receive back, 100% of it comes to Centennial, and we don't have to pay the IU for it.
That's right.
Which is another helpful for our taxpayers.
That's right. And then, I guess it bears mentioning, I don't know, Mr. Greenwood, you want to mention some of the benefits that we're starting to see from our bus patrol?
Bus patrol continues to surprise me, right? So I think we had 36,000 come in April. I think we just collected another $31,000 in May. And so the payments are when those payments are being processed, those tickets are being processed. So there's sort of a backlog. So it will, I think, continue on. And hopefully we're creating a safer Warminster, Upper South, and Ivyland with that service. So, I think, as we talked about in the beginning, right, the safety was the key. The money was just interesting.
The increased revenue is certainly appreciated. I hope that's a number that goes down over time. It's actually something we don't want to see.
Absolutely.
President, I appreciate all the hard work that went into this budget. There really was amazingly some reductions that took place. However, when you look at it, we still have a $2.8 million deficit. Mm-hmm. So we have some work to do, and hopefully as we go through the next year, that will be in the back of everybody's mind who wants to go out with new ideas, new projects, and whatever. There still is a $2.8 million in spite of all the good work. So don't forget that is still there as we move forward into the next year, and keep that in mind when we get requests to spend lots of money.
Voice of reason, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Which is why our focus has to be on our buying power and what we do in terms of RFPs and force vendors to come to the table, understanding we're the ones holding the power, not them.
Does anybody else have any comments?
I'm having a hard time understanding that 360 drivers broke the law. That, to me, is incomprehensible. And maybe it's to our advantage that we have Street Road and County Line Road, which I'm assuming is pretty hard to all of a sudden, step on the brake when you got 50 cars behind you, and maybe that's to our benefit, but I'm having a hard time getting it. 360 people in 1 month.
If you think about it, it's about 15 people a day.
That may be, but
I'm saying so, but over several hundred bus routes, it's 15 people a day, and if you attribute probably 8 of them to Street or County Line Road, but
It's alarming.
we should find out how many are students.
You know what, thank God nobody's gotten hurt through all this.
Yep.
Passing the bus and stuff, thank God nobody's gotten hurt.
Nobody got hurt, and we have extra funding in the district.
Yes.
which is also a testimony to our drivers that are paying attention to the less than stellar drivers in the area.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Greenwood? Thank you, Mr. Greenwood.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
right, moving right ahead. Public comments, we do not have any. And Mr. Sadowski.
Approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors 2.1 approves the June 23rd, 2026 Committee of the Whole agenda as per the attached. Are there any corrections that need to be made that are allowed by PA law?
Second.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? I don't believe so. Passes 9-0. On to new business. Would anyone like anything pulled?
I would. On personnel agenda, I want to table cross-country girls head coach.
That would need a second.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any?
Yes, sir, I'd like to pull 2 items.
Okay.
For further discussion. They being 3.5 and 3.12.
Got it. Do we need to vote on the motion to table before we proceed? Or would we-
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It was on 3.1.
Personnel agenda, cross-country girls head coach.
We have a second on that?
I do believe we should
Second.
by itself.
Okay, that's fine. We can pull that as well.
All right, so we did get the second.
It is kind of a big one.
Mrs. Krieger, was it you or Mrs. DiPaolo that second?
Mrs. DiPaolo, me.
Okay. All right, so we need to do a vote on tabling that.
Okay.
Can we do a roll call?
You good?
This is the table of girls cross-country from Locke. You want a roll call on that, or just a
We
voice
can
vote?
do a simple vote. That's fine with me.
Okay, that's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, passes 9-0.
You can't question that, but our next meeting's not till sometime in
Right.
That
very
would
close to the start of the
be
school
in-
year. Can they start the program without having a coach?
They will, yes.
Huh?
They will.
They can? All right. No problem. Very good.
All right. Everyone's good there. I will go on to the long list first, and then we'll go back to the individual items. Let's say, actually, we can, yeah. Okay, 3.3, adopts the capital Fund 32, debt service Fund 40, and food service Fund 50 budgets in the following amounts respectively: $2,540,000, $2,000,000, and $3,896,314 as per the attached. 3.4, authorizes the business administrator to close the 2025-26 Centennial School District books as of June 30th, 2026, incorporating all accruals therein, to pay the 2025-26 bills that are due by June 30th, 2026 as accrued, to transfer the budget amounts necessary for processing these expenditures subject to review and ratification by the Board of School Directors on or about August 18th, 2026, to pay the 2026-27 bills that are due before the August 18th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of School Directors, subject to review and ratification by the Board on or about August 18th, 2026, and directs the administration to proceed with preparing for the necessary audit for the fiscal year 2025-26. Further directs the business administrator and/or designee to record or adjust commitments of fund balance in any or all of the following categories: future capital projects, other post-employment benefits, and retirement contributions. Finally, authorizes the business administrator and/or designee to transfer an amount not to exceed the projected 2025-26 fiscal year surplus, if there is one at internal closing, to either the Capital Reserve Fund 32, Debt Service Fund 40, or a combination thereof, consistent with the district's multi-year financial strategy. 3.6. Approves the renewal ESY tuition contract with New Hope Academy for student 4-8 to attend ESY services during the summer 2026 at a tuition cost of $6,000. 3.7. Approves the 2026 ESY renewal contract with PA School for the Deaf as per the attached. The tuition cost of $7,834.80 with PCA fees of $4,549.20 equals $12,384. Additional costs for other related services at a unit rate of $139 to $166.80 will be added as directed by the student's IEP. 3.8, approves the placement agreement for student 26-5 to attend the springtime school for the 2026-27 and 2027-28 school years, including ESY for summer 2027 and summer 2028. District cost not to exceed $147,337.66 per school year. 3.9, approves the agreement for student 13-19 providing tuition to the Quaker School in lieu of and in full satisfaction of the provision of a free appropriate public education, FAPE. Estimated tuition for the 2026-27 school year is $58,415. 3.10, approves in accordance with Policy 239. Foreign exchange students, the enrollment of 2 students into William Tennant High School for the 2026-27 school year through Borderless Friends Forever Foundation, Incorporated. 3.11, approves the renewal of the MOU with Bucks County Community College to provide William Tennant High School students with dual credit opportunities in a variety of settings at Bucks County Community College at a reduced tuition rate of $130 per credit, plus the cost of consumables. 3.13, approves the renewal with board docs for the 2026-27 school year. District cost not to exceed $18,000. 3.14, appoints Thomas Greenwood as board treasurer for the 2026-27 school year at no additional compensation. This action is required annually by Section 404 of the Public School Code as per the attached. 3.15, affirms as prescribed in Board Policy 304, employment of district staff. The Board of School Directors authorizes the superintendent to make the required employment decisions and staffing for the 2026-27 school year from June 24th, 2026 through August 17th, 2026, in order to maintain the continuity of educational programs and services. These personnel actions will be presented to the board for retroactive approval at the meeting on August 18th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes
One-
9-0. Oh, sorry.
One quick question. Where are our exchange students coming from? Do we know?
Dr. Lugabaugh?
I didn't see in the backup. I'm just curious.
Yes.
We have one coming from Mongolia and one coming from Spain.
Wow.
Awesome.
Welcome to Centennial.
Mhm.
All right, individual items. 3.1, as amended with the tabled item, approves the personnel agenda, including rescindment of employment, retirements, resignations, authorization to employ, rescindment of sabbatical, leaves of absence, change of status, and co-curricular additions, as per the attached. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 9-0. 3.2, adopts the final budget of the school district for the 2026-27 fiscal year on Form PDE 2028 with a tax increase of 3.5% as the final budget for the school district general fund in the amount of $157,263,961 in expenses, and with a revenue of $154,466,891. Authorizes the 2026-27 annual tax levy resolution, real estate tax installment payment plan, and the homestead farmstead exclusion resolution as per the attached.
Second.
Second.
I just have a question to ask. I know that Pennsylvania Senate and House of Representatives are working on the budget this week. Do we have a sense at all in terms of it making its way through by the end of the month?
I would assume unlikely, but
I attended the IU board meeting, and it was reported that we do not expect the budget to be done until mid-July, but they're expecting it a lot earlier this year.
Well, that's not good.
any other discussion on 3.2?
Just the homestead rebate this year is at $281.31, is that correct? For the average assessed value? It's the same for everybody? Okay. Stand corrected.
Do you want to do an up or down or a roll call on 3.2? Anybody? Okay. Do an up or down on this one. All in favor of adopting 3.2?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Me.
No.
No.
Any abstentions? All right, passes 6-3. 3.5, approves the compensation educational fund agreement for student 1-8, including an educational fund in the amount of $35,000 and per parent legal fees not to exceed $20,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Wustowski. The reason I asked about this one, a couple things. One, it didn't have a little, sometimes we get a little write-up about how this occurred, and we didn't get that. Number two, I can't recall in the years that I've been doing this, the number of these kinds of things where we have approved a parent legal fee up to $20,000. Usually, they're significantly less than $20,000, especially if the result is a settlement that goes up to $35,000. That's a pretty poor use of taxpayer funds to pay a lawyer who's essentially taking positions against the school district. So we're paying somebody to take a position against us, and the outcome is not great. Usually, you pay another lawyer when a judge orders you to do so. And the ones that we've been paying up till now, at least my recollection is significantly less than $20,000. If I was paying a lawyer $20,000 to get me 35, I would say that's a pretty poor result. So I am not in favor of authorizing this unless I find out something I don't know. Pay $20,000 up to, but it could be $20,000. And if I'm a lawyer, I see $20,000. Well, I'm not going to charge $3 if I'm approved to get $20. So I am, unless, again, I'm perfectly willing to understand there's something I'm unaware of, but I'm not in favor of $20,000 being paid by the taxpayers of the school district to an attorney.
Haven't we gotten a bill for this student already for parent legal fees? And so it seems like it's going to continue this suit.
So I can speak to this a little bit, and Dr. Hopkins, if I misspeak or if I don't include anything, in this situation, this really goes back to why we're working so hard to make sure that our IEPs and our programs are delivered with fidelity. In discussing this case with our legal team, we would have been on the hook had this gone through due process for approximately $170,000. And so by offering a settlement of $55,000, we considered that a win in lieu of paying $170,000 if we went through the process. And one of the things, and Dr. Hopkins has talked about this, is that we are going to see a few more of these settlements until we can right the ship and get some of our IEP processes in place to make sure that we're delivering IEPs with fidelity, to make sure that we're offering a continuum of services before we outplace students. You're not incorrect, Mr. Martin. It is a very higher, it's an atypical lawyer fee. They're not all like that. But in this case, this was at the recommendation of our special ed counsel. Dr. Hopkins, have I neglected to add anything? You can if you want, if there's something that I didn't capture.
Hello. Just to be more exact, not that you weren't exact enough, but to paint a clearer picture, our total exposure for this particular case was at $173,760. Legal fees at the time of April 1st for the family were at about $41,000. So this was a situation where, as Dr. Lukaba discussed, the $55,000 was a win. This was paperwork that went back. I actually came when I joined the district on December 3rd. This was paperwork that was already in the works, already occurring. And we have discussed that this will take a few years for us really to right this ship in terms of our paperwork and our ability to provide FAPE in the district. So it is deemed a win for us right now, as well as for this child.
Seems like we always get told that we're gonna lose court cases. It's nice to win a few.
Well, so I think another really important thing to think about is that we have a $50,000 deductible. So if we're going to head towards due process, we know right off the bat that our deductible is $50,000. And if we look at our paperwork and if we look at the trail that comes along with that child, and we see pretty glaringly that we have issues within how we have serviced that child through the paperwork, and now we're looking at a $50,000 deductible, those are all things that we have to take into account.
I'm still a little confused as to, I'm not following this because
Okay.
it's $20,000, but the amount of 35,000, I'm not following why it's so high when 35,000 is the amount.
It was deemed at one point, and is it the confusion that the lawyers' fees are the are not the equivalent, but they're fairly close to the comp ed fund, which I can understand that. It's interesting, I just had a conversation with Kalani Ashraf, who's one of our lawyers with Sweet Stevens, and we talked about how what a lot of individuals don't realize when we talk about these cases is we have no control over the opposing counsel's legal funds, legal fees. And we have lawyers that come to us via families that their legal fees are much less. And we have lawyers that come to us whose legal fees are upwards of $500 an hour. We can't control that. That's who the family chooses to work with. So that's something that we have, opposing counsel is nothing that we have any control over.
Can you explain what, so that I grasp what has gone wrong for a period of time that it gets to this point?
Yeah.
I mean, is it something that has been brewing for years and nobody tackled it? Or is it something brand new and all of a sudden the parent woke up and said, wait a minute, like, I'm trying to understand why these things happen.
And I'd hate to paint a broad brushstroke to say that it's always this or it's always that, because it really is truly dependent, very individualized, very specific on cases and children and what has happened. In this particular situation is what really seems to be the picture that I see quite a bit, which is I don't truly believe that we are knowingly doing harm to a child. I think when I open up paperwork, what I see is errors that could seem minute to people reading the document, but when you're looking at it from a legal lens, are much larger. And so when I open up a lot of documents and I'm like, oi, but at the same time, I know what a lawyer's looking at. And for them, it's like, whoo, there's a big old hole.
Can you explain when you say harm to a child, what does that mean?
Meaning, nothing that I am seeing is because a team has purposefully miseducated a child. It is either not keeping tight paperwork, and you have to remember there's a 2-year look back. So it's not even the focus on one team, right? It's 2 years that they can go back and look. But it's also not making changes the minute you see that a child is not receiving what we call educational benefit. So if we don't see growth in any individual goal area, is the IEP team going back and revising an IEP and looking to see what else we can do to implement specially designed instruction so that student can make growth? Are we constantly going back and doing all we can to say we've done all we can? And it's not, my phrase is nobody's setting out to harm a child. It's not looking at the paperwork from a litigious lens, which unfortunately, we are in a position, like everybody is in a position right now, where we have to look at our paperwork so critically, and we have to train everybody involved to look at paperwork that way.
So when you look at Mr. Greenwood's dashboard,
Yes.
and you've got 1,300 students who are on IEPs.
Yeah.
How many people does it take to look at these IEPs on a regular, does it mean you have to have a staff of 10 people who are reviewing them weekly? Like, what does it?
I agree. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just had a conversation with one of our legal counsels yesterday. I will say I'm on the phone with lawyers quite a bit, as you can well imagine. I wonder why I didn't go to law school at many times during my day. I might still go. But, you know, one of the conversations that we talked about is there's now districts that are hiring their own legal counsel in-house. Radnor is one of them. They have an in-house attorney. And is that something we want to think about? As opposed to seeking counsel for a variety of different venues, employment law, special ed law, pupil services law, all that goes along with it. But to your question, which is how many people does it take? It takes everybody that lays eyes on that document. And it does take time to go through 1,300 documents and all of the document, because it's not just one document. For every student, there is an IEP, there's an evaluation, and there's 4 quarters of progress monitoring. And all of that factors into the equation.
How much do we spend on settlements a year?
I'd have to go back
Because the
and add that
answer
up.
seems to me that there is a return on investment that says if you invest X dollars and we're spending $5 million or whatever, and you hire somebody for, I don't know, $200,000 a year, $250,000, whatever, the fact is, if you can reduce those fines and have that salary, it's no different than this medical access billing, which is do what you can to mitigate that risk. So it seems to me that that might be the direction if these fines or these settlements are large enough.
Yes.
Why wouldn't we go down that path?
Well, there's a whole other point, because you're talking about paying the opposing lawyer, not our lawyer in
Not
this
our-
case.
That's not even our lawyer.
So that is,
Yeah.
and that's what's, you all almost often see, parents all of a sudden, have consultations with a lawyer or with other family members that all look at that document and see, well, there's something wrong here. And now this parent is pursuing this case where they normally would not.
Yes.
Mr. Hartline?
Say, and so the IU has in-house legal counsel. The executive director, or the assistant director, originally started as in-house legal counsel. They still retain special education counsel as well, so it's not 100% coverage for one individual.
Correct.
You do get into multiple situations where they all have a different specialty depending upon the deficiency or what the mark in the paperwork happens to be, or what the outcome the parents or guardians are looking for their student or their child. So you can't completely mitigate it. Do we receive a reasonable breakdown of the attorney's fees so that we're not paying something erroneous with these? So like the $20,000, do we get justification for that?
So for this particular situation, as of April 1st, we were at $41,000 of opposing counsel.
And we had documentation on that?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we had legitimate documentation, and that it wasn't,
We
Yes.
weren't arguing the case, how possibly they run up $41,000. If we knew we were wrong, why not just say we're wrong at the beginning, offer the payment and move on? Why are we paying, do we required to pay these opposing counsels, or some judge says you have to do it, or if a parent says they're gonna sue us, or they're gonna do, we can automatically go hire whatever lawyer they want, and we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, but I have a feeling it's not all court stuff. It's probably the work that's being done
It's the
up
work that's
front
being done. So for instance,
before
when
it gets
we,
to court.
Who says we have to pay? Who says we are required to pay their attorney regardless of who it is and how much it's charged?
we're
The
we're
legal
not
system.
required, okay? It's part of the ask of the settlement, part of the deal, okay?
Before you get to the settlement, they hire a lawyer.
Yes.
but
So the
Mr.
lawyer,
Martin.
in a typical regular litigation suit, a lawyer will take a third, plus expenses, right? So in these cases, they may go by the hour, and as they are investigating things, they tack on their fees as part of the settlement, or if they go to litigation, or if we go to arbitration. Quite often in arbitration, the losing party pays legal fees.
Correct.
So you could be on the hook for
41,000.
all of the legal fees. And historically, the losing party is the one that's on the hook for it. And if we're doing a settlement, odds are we'd be on the hook for it. I agree with you. I agree with you in going after cases that, the law school lottery, I used to call it, or the school district lottery. But there are some times where you just need to cut bait and fish.
I just
think it-
don't understand how the whole process results in a $35,000 settlement with that amount of legal fee. If we knew we were wrong, if did something that we should have done differently, why not just get the settlement as fast as we can, as low as we can, and move on without
so Mr.
lawyers
Martin,
spending weeks and months and running up his bills?
This was done before you came.
Not regardless of.
but regardless of that, by the time we receive a letter from opposing counsel, they have already docked hours doing a review of files and meetings. So by the time legal counsel sends a letter,
How do they get the files?
because the parents give it to them. The parents have their children's files.
Yeah, if you have an IEP for your child, you get a copy of all the paperwork.
So the parents are in a no-lose situation then. How are they gonna lose? They can hire their lawyer, whoever they want, they can file whatever they want, taxpayers are gonna pay for it. How are they possibly gonna lose? And we don't fight it. How are they gonna lose?
So I can speak to that. They're going to lose, or they're going to be unsuccessful in the challenge.
I mean, they're
And-
unsuccessful.
No, I know what you mean. And we are going to have, when we get the work that we're doing right now is setting the district up so that when we are challenged, we prevail because our paperwork is tight, the IEPs are delivered with fidelity, we are offering FAPE, and we are positioning ourselves so that if we do have to settle, we can do so in a way that it does not cost the district much money at all. And the goal is to put protocols in place and checkpoints in place and reviews in place so that we are proactively positioning ourselves to not have to pay this out. And that will take a few years, but that's also baked into some of the talk we have with our 3-year plan for fiscal stability. Because as we start to reduce the payouts that we have to do this because of our internal processes, and we are using continuous, what I mean by continuous services, I don't mean to use educational terminology. If we are offering services along the way and not just leapfrogging from there's a problem to, hey, let's place somebody out for $150,000, and we can do things in advance that that don't force us to do that, we'll save millions.
Dr. McGuire?
Can I make a comment? This is Krista.
Hold on, Krista, for 2 seconds. I don't know if you can answer this question, but about, is this child remaining in our district
Yes.
within our schools?
Yes.
And so where is the money, or what's the fund for then?
So comp ed funds are clearly outlined in the agreement that the parents receive. And it is typically, not always, but it's typically used for a variety of situations that we hold on to. An easy way to phrase it is it's like a trust fund. It has to come through us. So I will have a parent that will email my office and say, we would like to register our child with this speech therapist. And this is what the total cost would be. This is their licensure. It aligns with the agreement. I look it over and determine whether or not it falls in with the agreement. And we don't release those funds unless it falls in line with everything. It really all depends. Yes, it could be technology that is used for the child. It can be tutoring services. It can be credit recovery. It can be extra therapy sessions. Yes.
Mrs. DiPaolo?
Thank you. I was just going to mention to Mr. Martin, you probably are aware that this is not unique to our school district. I work for the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, and this is something we contend with all the time. And as Dr. Lucabaugh and Dr. Hopkins are saying, this is definitely a win. So, you know, the idea is that even if you move forward with litigation, and even if you're right, it would take more to litigate than actually settle. And I think it's being fiscally responsible to look at it that way. Like, this is a win because it doesn't cost us $173,000. It's costing us $55,000. So I just, just want to say, Mr. Martin, I encounter this all the time, in the agency that I work for. So it happens all the time, unfortunately.
Pay lawyers $20,000 all the time to get 35?
No, I don't know, not those particulars, but like Dr. Hopkins is saying, we have no control over what opposing counsel would charge. That's really, we just have no control over that. It's who the family picks to serve, to represent them.
Mr. Hartline, did you have something?
And keeping in mind too, we just approved 2 outplacements. Those outplacements, if that child is in elementary school or middle school, it is conceivable that will go on until they graduate.
Yes.
We could already have signed an agreement that would put us on the hook for 6 years of a student in an outplacement as part of a settlement for whatever reason. So, like I said, we're going to be seeing these, as administration, does everything they can to pare these down. There are some that decisions might have been made 5 years ago that we will be continuing to do until the child graduates.
And I would like to add, in this particular situation, I sat in on the IEP meeting for this child, and the team did such a beautiful job and really turned things around for this child and this family, that the family walked away from the meeting and said, I feel so, and this was prior to this settlement agreement. This was in, I think, February or March. And the family walked away and said, I feel so good about where we're headed. And our legal counsel who represented us in that meeting said it was night and day between the team that presented to that family and in that moment this school year and the team that presented last year. So even the small shifts that we are making is being felt by families.
So if they felt good, why is there a settlement?
Because you have 2 years, you have a look back, and there's education that was perceived to be lost over the past 2 years.
And the lawyers have to get paid.
Also that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hopkins.
Thank you, Dr. Hopkins.
All right. Any further discussion after the robust conversation we just enjoyed? Seeing none, all in favor of 3.5?
Aye.
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 All opposed? No. Abstentions? Passes 8-1. 3.12, approves the teacher on special assignment position and job description effective July 1st, 2026. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion on this item.
Second. Quick question. This is Chris. This is Mrs. DiPaolo. Quick question. The description, teacher on special assignment, that's a 2-year position? Is that correct?
No, it's just a one-year pilot.
It's a 1-year pilot. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lucabaugh. That was my only question.
You're welcome.
Mr. Martin?
I'm reading the job goal, it says this is a 2-year assignment.
Yeah, I say-
Be that as it may.
I maybe misspoke. I guess I misspoke. I apologize. I was under the impression it was a pilot, so.
But my real question is, it's a new position. We reviewed that we have a $2.8 billion deficit. Where is this person who is going to be added to the administrative staff and the bureaucracy, where is this person coming from to do this new position?
All right, so, and I did mention this, it is not a new position in the sense that it's cost neutral. And first of all, Mrs. DiPaolo, I apologize. I don't know why I thought it was a 1-year pilot, but it is a 2-year pilot. It is a pilot program to see what it can do, and we need more than 1 year. So that was my error.
And Dr. Lucabaugh, it's not your error because I saw it somewhere as 1 year and then I saw it as 2 year. That's why I was asking for clarification. I thought I was confused, but I do think I saw it that way. That's why I asked. But thank you for clarifying, and I appreciate that.
Sure. So we're trying to be creative with this. First of all, it's cost neutral. It doesn't cost the district anything. But we're trying to be, as part of our strategic plan, we are, and you've heard, and Mr. Retz is going to talk about this tonight, we've been talking for years about going from growth to achievement. Growth is when you're showing improvement, but achievement is when you're starting to really get academics at a level where, okay, now we're seeing actual increases and we can compete at the county level. The life of a high school administrator is very complex, and I'm not saying this unaware. I mean, it's a life I lived for many, many years. The challenges that they have, and there are a lot of low-level tasks. Years ago, we had a dean of discipline. We had a dean in the high school, and we're not asking to have a dean and pay someone. That's not money we want to spend right now. And so the question became, as we started to talk about, how do you get more creative? How can we address a need but not pay money? There is scheduling flexibility where we can have folks do this and teach, and give some help to administrators who are dealing with attendance, tardiness, supervising lunches, supervising arrival of buses, departure of buses, schedule changes because of an assembly, low-level things that don't require administrative certification, but are big time suckers. They pull administrators away from things. And one of the issues that we've identified is that we have to clear the deck. We have to find ways that allow our administrators in an administrative capacity to get into classrooms and observe teaching and learning, observe assessment practices. We aren't going to push and get to the next level and move the needle if we don't have administrative oversight. And high-performing districts have a very robust system of supervision and evaluation and feedback for teachers to improve. And it's really about going in there and providing feedback and working hand in hand with teachers. And our administrators are bogged down with a lot of low-level things. And not only that, but it's very hard to justify hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of salary standing in a cafeteria or standing in the front of a building at the beginning of a day or end of a day when we can have people in rooms and have people doing those jobs. And we acknowledged, we eliminated the dean position years ago. But rather than pay to have a dean, we have scheduling flexibility where we can have people come out and do some of this and help. And it's a creative way to do that because it requires, right now, some of the things that I talked about require administrators to spend a substantial amount of time outside of classrooms and they're not having the impact. And there's research that speaks to the impact of an educational leader on student achievement. And so we're trying to be creative. We're trying to try this. It's not a forever thing, but we would like to pilot a potential solution that has no cost whatsoever to try to get our scores up.
You read this, it sounds like there's one teacher on special assignment. It's all written as one, not as plural. Your answer sounded like you're gonna have several different people picking up extra little things in their spare time.
So you can do flexibility. It allows for someone, maybe teaching one day or teaching like an A day and doing this on a B day, or teaching on a B day and doing this on an A day. We can structure it any way we want to try to get the help that we need and still allow for the delivery of our schedule. But we did it without any cost associated to it. And it gives us that flexibility, and it doesn't cost the district anything.
I was unaware the teachers had all this extra time that they can do these sorts of things, and they'll do them for no additional money.
Well, it's not about extra time as much as, and that's a fair question, but one of the things that we did and we talked about was we looked at our high school scheduling and we looked at our efficiency. And one of the things that we did was more tightly schedule our teachers so that we don't have class sizes that are below board policy. And as we were able to do some of that, we also looked at some of the other pressing needs that we have at the high school. And with our scheduling efficiency, it gave us some flexibility to address a need that has been real. And it is bogging down, and it is a very difficult job. And so doing some of these things that a dean would have typically done is very helpful. And we don't have enough oversight. And our high school administrators would be the first to tell you, one of their top priorities is being an instructional leader. And sometimes that very top priority gets cast aside because of pressing needs that have to be addressed. So we're trying it. It's not a forever solution necessarily. Maybe down the road we get to a point where we have deans again. It's not something that we can push out to our security. That's not an option. That's not what they're trained to do. And we need that oversight in the building. It helps us to remain proactive. It helps to keep the tenants safe. And they do a great job in doing so. But there are a lot of issues that can be addressed in a creative way that allow for the oversight that's going to help us to take the next step instructionally.
I have a question with regard to the essential functions. I know we've had a discussion before about what the assistant principals do, and I'm reading this and I'm saying, this is the assistant principals, why are we getting somebody else to do this?
Well, the assistant principals have a broad swath of responsibilities, and this is why for years the district had deans in place, and the deans were actually doing some of those pieces. When the dean position left the high school, some of the things that are in this job description absolutely fell onto the house principals, but there's a cost that comes with that, not a financial one, but an efficacy cost. You can't improve instruction and you can't improve students' learning experiences when there is not consistent oversight and feedback and coaching and guidance and evaluation. And it's something that our district can improve upon. And this is just one way to potentially study whether or not something like this would work. And because it's cost neutral and because it's something that we want to pilot for 2 years, we're asking for an opportunity to do that and see if we can't make some strides.
What was this individual doing before taking this special assignment? What was that person's role?
They'll continue to teach and do this. The persons who do end up doing this, it'll be a hybrid position. They'll do some teaching, but they'll also do some of this as well. We're trying to find flexibility in the schedule to address a variety of needs that the high school has. We can't expect things to get better if we aren't taking some calculated, creative solutions into consideration. And if you ask, like, what's going to get better? Are we going to say, so for example, if I were to, and this is purely hypothetical, but if I were to say, I expect every teacher to be informally observed 4 times and formally observed twice, that's 6 observations. There's a process that comes with that. That sounds good. That sounds easy. To the untrained ear, you think, well, my goodness, you have 180 days. How hard can it be to see every teacher that you have, 150 teachers? that many times. But there is a tremendous amount of work that goes into that oversight. And high-performing districts honor that work, but they also have pieces in place because it's like a bubble or a balloon. When you squeeze one side, the other side gets larger. And with time, when you're expending that time, there are other things that have to happen. And I will tell you the things that and I'm not an apologist, but the things that go on in a high school on a daily basis are very significant and they're voluminous. And there's so much going on that is not the best use of our administrators' time. And if we can find a way to offset some of those pieces of the job that take a tremendous amount of time away from us accomplishing our mission and vision. We talk all the time about creating access, opportunity, and choice for kids, and we talk about delivering excellence through teaching and learning. And yet we don't have systems in place that are honoring those two outcomes. This is our ability or our time to try and see if this works, and at no cost to our district.
Don't we have a report in a few minutes that shows everything is going in the right direction and moving up and kids are excelling and passing out, if I read that right, all
Oh, I'm looking forward to that
benchmarks
report.
and it's going up? I mean, it's not like we're continuing going down. They're learning and they're learning more and they're learning better, from what I can see. We're doing good. I don't know why we need more administration.
Well, it's not more administration. It's just to offset. It's to offset some of this and to get better. And the whole point is that while we are making improvements, we're not making the kind of improvements that can position us to be one of the leading districts in the county. And that's where I think this board wants us to be. It's certainly where I'd want us to be. But more importantly, I want the support mechanisms in place so that we can achieve that outcome.
So, just a quick question.
And again, it's not costing us anything. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and then we know one way not to do it.
So a 2-year pilot, how do we see if it's successful? How do we?
Well, I think that's a great question. One of the metrics is, first of all, how often are we in rooms providing feedback on instruction and assessment? How often do we have administrators leading conversations around assessment data? How often do we have administrators with time to develop professional and deliver PD? How many conversations around teaching and learning are happening that don't happen right now? And so you can look at just the number of evaluations, you can look at the number of observations, the number of touch points. You can start to study formative assessment, summative assessment data. There are ways to measure that over time.
So can we keep track of what was done last year to this year and see if we're meeting goals, or?
Absolutely.
That would be good for the board to see if it's going to be put through.
Absolutely. We can look just at our walkthrough observation data as an example and show that because of this we are to, and again, hypothetical only, but if we would be able to say to the board that last year, we conducted 87 walkthroughs, observations, and this year we were able to conduct 290. That's that many more touch points that are helping to improve instruction.
And since it's a pilot and it's cost effective, I mean.
It's completely cost neutral.
Those teachers could probably be teaching somewhere else instead of doing this other work. They could actually be teaching when when we need to hire substitutes. If we have extra teachers that have time to do stuff, they should be teaching, and we don't need the substitutes, which would save us money. But I guess I don't understand it.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure. There's a little delay. What I'm seeing on my screen versus what I'm hearing on my phone. What I'm hearing on my phone is quicker than what I can see on the screen. Sorry about that. So I also think part of this is also identifying educators who also probably want to move possibly into administrative positions or other positions. So the idea of also kind of promoting from within type of scenario, I think, would be another benefit to this program, if I'm correct here. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Lukabal. But then again, like just recognizing educators who also have those leadership qualities and can move into other positions in the future.
I mean, it may be. It's not necessarily designed for that. Like, I don't want to give anybody the impression that this is something where we're trying to identify and promote necessarily. I think there are other ways to do that,
Okay.
which I don't know that I want to bring up right now because, we're talking about, for example, having administrators or having teachers on assignment that would be instructional coaches specific to buildings. There are a lot of ways that for an aspiring administrator to make educational impact and not so much operational impact, but we're not thinking so much about that right now. We're really trying to find ways to prioritize and allow school leaders to focus their time and their expertise on improving teaching and learning. And it's an area that we have opportunity to improve in, and we're trying to think creatively and strategically and also financially responsibly to address an issue. And yes, we are making improvements, but we are still awaiting the achievement, and I think Mr. Rutz will speak to this, that I believe we can make as a district.
Great.
Right, so
That is our next one. Yes.
we have a teacher leader who's going to essentially, if they're teaching an A day and a B day, who will be picking up their B day classes and teaching those classes while they are performing this task? So is there...
And I can't answer that because I'm not doing the schedule. There are ways that can schedule that. I would have to talk to the high school admin team to see how it's scheduled. There's a way to schedule everything with electives, with classes that meet every other day. There are ways to do all that. I can't answer that. I'm just not at the ready to speak to it.
Right, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Martin, I think what Mr. Martin's trying to get at is if we can reschedule that teacher to do freeing up that time, is this then the best use of that teacher's time, or could that teacher's time be better used somewhere else? And administration is telling us this is the best use of that freed up time.
They are telling us that, and I do trust that. And having spent significant time in conversation with them and understanding that this work, one of the most impactful, I mean, there's a classical study out there that talks about the impact, the educational impact on student achievement of a high value, of high impact instruction and what a teacher can do to cause learning. But on a more macro level, when you have the studies that talk about educational leaders and the impact they have on instruction and on student achievement. Growth is when you have 20% of kids proficient and then you get 30% proficient. That's great, but that's not high achievement. 30% achieving proficient is not achieving. 60, 70, now we're talking. And that's where we want to get. And there's no reason why we can't be a district that has 60 and 70% of its students proficient in mathematics and in reading. And if we're going to get there, we have to be willing to try different things. We have to be willing to be creative. We have to look at ways to leverage the expertise of our administrative teams, and we have to free up time. And if there are ways to be creative with our schedule and still do it with fidelity and ethics, and do it at a cost-neutral standpoint, I'm willing to stand behind that and support our administrators. And I respect the board's comments. I understand, but sometimes it takes thinking outside of the box.
You anticipate, or could you see this moving from the high school into the middle schools or the elementary schools as well? Because that's, I mean, we see most of our iReady information comes from there. By the time we hit the high school, it is the keystones and the exams, the placement exams are different.
I think certainly that's one of the byproducts of doing a pilot is that if you create a model and work on something that may be impactful, you can think about how you can scale that to move it into other levels at the middle and also at the elementary. Again, it's not just the high school where great instruction matters. It matters across the board, and our teachers do an excellent job. But our administrators are so bogged down, and it's a problem that plagues education. And if we can find creative, cost-neutral ways to try and see if we can make an impact, and I'm willing to do whatever we can and whatever we can put together creatively to try to move that needle. We've talked about growth for years. It's time to see if we can't move into achievement
I
and
would
really
say,
give our
yeah,
teachers the support, because they do a heck of a job.
To that point, Dr. Lugarbaugh, I would say that the improvement in the academic performance of our students in Centennial over the past few years has been great to see, and I know we're all very proud of it. But, doing better isn't necessarily good enough, given where we were. And I don't know that there is such thing as, quote, good enough when it comes to the quality of education that we're offering our kids. So it's an aspirational goal. And I'm going to trust the educational professionals to lead that effort and capitalize on the momentum that we're building and not let it peter out or even backslide. So I think it is important to keep going.
Till you're at 100% proficient or better,
Exactly.
that's your end goal.
Yeah.
So,
Are our teachers requesting this? Are they supporting this? Do our teachers want this?
I can't answer that question. I mean, it's not something that creates any give or take with them. I think are you asking, do teachers want to be observed more?
Are they behind this
I mean,
this change?
Well, I think that professionals are always looking to get better. And I think that when you have robust coaching models in place that allow for that possibility to emerge, that's a very good thing. I can't speak to whether or not teachers want to be observed more, but I do believe that teachers appreciate high-quality feedback done in an instructive and supportive way that helps them to get even better at what they do, and most importantly, serve our kids. And so if it's freeing up that and it's helping to improve the instructional experience, that's a good thing.
Shall we call the vote on 312? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Unopposed.
Any abstentions? Passes 7-2. And that's on to presentations. Mrs. DiPaolo.
Great, thanks. This is a great lead-in to item 4.1, Education Committee presentations. Item 4.1A, Mr. Rutz will be presenting on the spring end-of-year local data assessment review. Mr. Rutz?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Mr. Rutz.
Thank you. Mr. Martin,
Thank you.
I know the Phillies are on tonight, so I pared this presentation down so we'd be out of here no later than 10 p.m., okay?
They're losing,
So it's
so
just,
go ahead.
oh, okay, so I have some extra time. Good evening, everybody. As usual, I'm here to present our spring end-of-year local assessment data review. We're going to be reviewing three areas: our DIBELS, K-3, our iReady, which is reading and math in grades K through 8, and IXL, which we conduct at the high school level, grades 9 and 10, in both reading and math. What you see in front of you is the bar graph here. On your left is the fall assessment data, the middle is the winter assessment data, and on the right, in the darker blue, is the spring assessment data. The orange bar is the end-of-year national benchmark, and you can see here that all grades K through 3 scored above the end-of-year national benchmark in DIBELS from fall to spring this year. A quick review of MTSS, Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. We've seen this pyramid for a number of years. My disclaimer, please remember that these are ranges. When we talk about Tier 3, we're talking about students who may be 2 or more grade levels behind in reading and math. The range is 5 to 10% of students traditionally. Tier 2 is 1 grade level below, and Tier 1, which is our goal, is at or above grade level. For K-8 reading in our iReady diagnostic, we had a 10% decrease in Tier 3, a 19% decrease in Tier 2, for a total of a 29% increase of moving students. 29% of students in K-8 moved from Tiers 2 and 3 and into Tier 1 based on their growth on the spring diagnostic assessment. That's about 1,000 students, or about 40 classrooms of students, moved into Tier 1 from the fall to spring assessment on the iReady assessment
in reading. Our growth, progress toward annual typical growth, the available growth that we have collectively is 100%, as you can see on the blue chart. What this shows is that our students on average achieved 133% of their projected annual growth in reading on the iReady assessment. For K-8 math, we had an 11% decrease in Tier 3, a 24% decrease in Tier 2, for a total increase of 35% of students in K-8 moving from Tiers 2 and 3 into Tier 1 based on the growth on the spring iReady diagnostic. That's about 1,200 students, or about 48 classrooms of students moving from Tiers 3 and 2 into Tier 1 from fall to spring. Our annual growth progress in mathematics, again, total is 100%, and our students on average have achieved 108% of their typical annual growth. One note I did want to add for the good of the team here, our iReady data does not include any grade 8 Algebra 1 students, does not include their data from Klinger or Log. Mr. Golder and Mr. Hayes had reached out to OTL and asked for a reprieve for those students because students who take the Algebra 1 Keystone in 8th grade are still required, unfortunately, by the state of Pennsylvania, to still take the PSSA Math 8 exam. So this would have meant that between the iReady assessment, the Keystone Algebra 1, and the Math PSSA, those students in grade 8 algebra classes at Klinger and Log would have taken 3 assessments in about a 5-week window. And we wanted to honor their mental well-being. So those students were excluded from this data. I'm going to switch gears to IXL. This is used at the high school only at this time. This is reading and English for grade 9. You can see that students' scores increased across all the reading categories in the end of the year snapshot. That's reading strategies, vocabulary, writing, and grammar and mechanics. And in the green arrows, you can see not only the point score increase, but also the percentage increase from fall to spring on the IXL assessment. This is grade 10. Again, grade 10 as well. Students' scores increased across all reading categories in the end of the year IXL diagnostic assessment. I've got math together on one slide, although they're separate categories. Grade 9 focuses on algebraic thinking, which is the focus of grade 9 math, which is algebra. They had an incredible increase of 160 points, or 21.5%. Grade 10 geometry, 191 point increase, 31%. Again, students in both categories increased. I did want to just a note of gratitude for the high school math department. Because the note I wanted to add is we saw gains this year despite the tragedy that the high school had to live with. Just some key trends and takeaways. While assessment targets are still a work in progress, our local data confirms a solid 5-year trend of consistent growth. And again, I want to repeat that our state assessment targets are still a work in progress. We're not where we want to be yet in the area of achievement. We can talk more about that. We have solid foundations and interventions. Every single K through 3 grade level exceeded the national benchmarks in the DIBELS. In addition, we moved 2,200 students out of Tiers 3 and 2 into Tier 1. Really good momentum at the high school, 100%. 100% of our measured 9th and 10th grade categories in both RELA and math, reading, English language arts, and math showed positive growth from fall to spring this year. And just an editorial comment, but one that comes from my heart and one of gratitude. The data continues to prove that when the school board invests in high-quality curriculum, MTSS structures, and equitable resources, it translates directly into student growth. The alignments are working, what we're doing is working, and I hope that we can stay the course. This is just a visual to align it up with our kind of 4 buckets that we've talked about for years here in Centennial: curriculum, instruction, assessment, and systems. And a special note at the bottom, I want to make sure I recognize the we behind all of this. It's a unified effort, collaborative support, which includes our wonderful faculty and staff, our specialists, reading specialists, math specialists, our instructional coaches, our instructional leaders in central office, and our building and district administrators. A few notes that I want to add to update the board with going into next year. We're going to be transitioning away from iReady for K-8, and as a school district, transitioning K-12 to IXL, the learning platform. We're also adding social studies and science content. For years since IXL was brought on, it kind of trickled in over the years, going back to 2018, 2019, I believe, pre-pandemic. We've only had reading and math. We're going to add social studies and science content. We're moving Dibbles. Instead of paper or pencil, we're going to move it to the digital M class. That's their digital platform. It's going to automate scoring. It's going to save significant time so we can get reading specialists with students one-on-one earlier instead of doing manual paperwork. The change I talked about just a few minutes ago, we're going to reduce some test fatigue. We're going to try keeping this permanent with excluding those grade 8 Algebra 1 students from the end of the year assessment. Doing the Math 8 PSSA and the Algebra 1 Keystone exam and doing a 3rd round of IXL is too much. Too much. And looking ahead, a couple things. We're going to be exploring a new science benchmark. One currently does not exist, but with the change in the STEEL standards and the importance of those, we're OTL is looking to identify a science benchmark for grades 5, 8, where the science PSSA is, and the biology for the Keystone, so that in all testable subjects, we have some local assessment data to track student progress. And we're also going to continue to evaluate the impact of our WIN, What I Need, time to strengthen our intervention efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rutz.
Thank you,
Such
Mr. Rutz.
Enormous amount of information that you've shared and such great results. Really so grateful.
Thanks to you and to the entire team for these results. Fantastic job.
It was a very good team that we have here. I'm very blessed to work for everybody. And I'm very satisfied with the growth because we've continued that trend now for 5 years. The status achievement is still a work in progress. We've seen some growth starting last year in those achievement scores. They're not where we want them to be, and we're going to continue to work toward that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. DePaolo, you want to slide right into Education Committee reports?
Sure, I sure do. Okay. Good evening, everyone. The Education Committee last met on Wednesday, June 10th. I just want to add a note that this committee continues to dedicate themselves to providing the best solutions and opportunities for our district. I'm so proud to work with such smart, fiscally aware, and experienced professionals. It has been such a great experience being on this committee here in Centennial. At our last meeting, we had several presentations, including what Mr. Rutz just presented to us on the spring end-of-year local assessment review, which is so encouraging. Additionally, Mrs. Murphy presented the climate and culture survey results based on family surveys. Ms. Murphy also presented an update regarding the strengthening PBIS through student partnership. And then the results that Mrs. Murphy shared were also very positive. Mr. Hayes presented on the middle school program where everybody belongs, and Dr. Calabrese and Dr. Caracappa shared the William Tennant High School ATSI plan for the 2027 school year. And which we'll be approving tonight. The committee moved a good number of recommendations to the board for tonight's approval. And these include a professional services agreement for the 26-27 school year with Matthew McCarthy, the annual subscription, to paraphrase, for the AI translation management system, the 26-27 teacher leader list, the William Tennant High School ATSI plan, the La Brea decodable text license for purchase, the Reading Olympics library book orders for elementary, middle, and high school, and then a few curriculums, the Second Step curriculum, the STAR Autism Support curriculum, the Reading Horizons curriculum, and the Attainment Company supplemental curriculum. We'll discuss all of this coming up next. And our next Education Student Services Committee meeting will be September 9th, 2026 at 4:45 p.m. And that's it for the Education Committee right now.
Thank you, Mrs. DiPaolo.
Thank
Finance
you.
Committee, Mrs. Krieger?
Our Finance Committee meeting was held on Thursday, June 11th at 5:30. Mr. Greenwood presented the financials through May 31st. Revenues continue to lag behind revenues received for the year prior due to an increase in local revenues that have been offset by a decrease in state and federal resources. Expenses continue to grow at a greater rate than the year prior due to an increase in salary, benefits, and technology. Comparing the prior year to the current year, revenue as a percentage of the budget is below last year as a result of payment timing catch-up as expected. Expenses continue to trail last year as a percentage of the budget. Year-end projections show revenue is in line with the budget. Expenses continue to demonstrate a small yet growing surplus of approximately $1.2 million. With respect to the 26-27, Mr. Greenwood earlier went through the 5 initiatives, and wonderfully, the number which was projected to be 3.2 instead was an additional $500,000 higher, which is great. The final budget assumes a 3.5% for the 26-27 fiscal year with zero increase included in future years, with recurring savings from this year's initiatives being realized in future years, plus additional initiatives that are continuing to be evaluated. A community letter is going to be going out and timed in accordance with the school tax bill being sent out to the taxpayers, outlining what we have achieved despite state mandates that are unfunded and what we believe we can achieve over the next few years, targeting a balanced budget. The Centennial Financial Dashboard continues to be available on the district website, providing transparency to the community on how their tax dollars are being spent. What is eye-opening and needs to be understood by the community is with 25% of the student base classified as special ed, coupled with an incremental cost of almost $23,000 per student annually, we're talking about an unfunded mandate of almost $31 million. With respect to our 25-26 expenditure budget, with salaries equating to almost 44% and benefits almost 26% and debt financing equating to 7%, we were at 76.5% of the annual budget. This leaves only 23.5% or of the 36 million, almost 37 million for all purchase services. And what's included in that, and I think it's important that the community understand, it's educational curriculums, training and development, cleaning services, utilities, repairs and maintenance, transportation, insurance, communications, public relations, books and periodicals, equipment, tuition supplies, technology, security rentals, advertising, public relations, travel, and legal fees. Let's be clear, while the financials can be very challenging, we're heavily focused on living within our means while continuing to provide an excellent education that will prepare our students for a bright future. As the letter states, we are optimistic that we will achieve our goals of financial stability and responsible fiscal management. With all of that said, we had a discussion regarding the timing of invoice approvals and actual payment. Mr. Greenwood laid out the approval process for payment of bills covering pre-approved bills and pending bills, noting that pre-approved bills cover an extensive list of run-the-operations categories that include items like utilities, insurance, payroll, debt service, BCIU and MBIT payments, rentals, and travel. Pending bills include items that may have been approved during previous board meetings as well as incidentals. Pending bills will notate going forward timing of the approval so that as we're looking at them, we know we approved it 6 months earlier and it's finally coming in. Some of the next steps are there opportunities to pay bills electronically rather than via US mail? And are there opportunities to leverage RFP processes to build in beneficial payment terms? An additional discussion took place regarding the benefits of zero-based budgeting and the importance of consolidating our vendor base to leverage our spending power. An initial analysis was done at the beginning of the year that highlighted that 492 unique vendors were utilized in support of the 23.5% spend. And the next step was over the summer, an evaluation was going to be done of the vendor list and issue RFPs to consolidate spend and hopefully yield negotiated contract savings. One of the things that we were awaiting an update on is stormwater management. I know that Dr. Lukaba, Mr. Greenwood, Sean Kilkenny, and the WMA were going to get together on next steps regarding escrowing the stormwater management fees and slash taxes. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 10th at 5:30.
Thank you, Mrs. Krieger. Operations Committee, Mr. Sadowski.
Thank you. The last Operations Committee meeting was held on Friday, June 12th. Though I was unable to attend that meeting as I was away, my esteemed and very savvy colleagues, Mrs. Krieger and Mr. Martin, have informed me that it was a brief update on the items presented for approval tonight in Section 8 of the agenda. Those items were uncontroversial because they are on the agenda, and our excellent facilities and IT teams are always fantastic at presenting the reasoning behind these purchases and answering any of our questions, as you will see on those 4 items coming up shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Sadowski. Mrs. DiPaolo, Education Student Service Committee.
Yep. Item 6.1, items presented for information tonight. First is 6.1A, the ATSI school plan, William Tennant High School for the 2026-2027 school year. 6.1B, the climate and culture survey results. 6.1C, strengthening positive behavior intervention supports, PBIS, through student partnership. And item 6.1D, where everyone belongs, WEB. Any discussion on that? Any questions? Okay, we'll move on next to items presented for approval tonight. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors, and before I go through the list, is there anything that anybody would like pulled?
Nobody's raising their hand.
Okay, seeing none, then I will just go through the list. Okay. Item 6.2A approves the renewal of Paraphrase, a translation management system for the 26-27 school year. District cost not to exceed $5,988. 6.2B approves the 2026-2027 William Tennant High School Additional Targeted School Improvement Plan, ATSI, no cost to the district. 6.2C approves the professional services agreement with Matthew McCarthy effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027 to update and enhance the district's English language development, ELD systems to ensure cost efficiency and long-term sustainability to meet ELD data needs and improve student outcomes. District cost not to exceed $120 per hour for not more than 40 hours. District cost not to exceed $4,800. 6.2D approves the list of candidates for the teacher leader position for the 2026-2027 school year. 6.2E approves the purchase of library books for Davis Elementary School's Reading Olympics. District cost not to exceed $396.40. 6.2F approves the purchase of library books for Klinger Middle School's Reading Olympics. District cost not to exceed $264.08. 6.2G approves the purchase of library books for Log College Middle School's Reading Olympics. District cost not to exceed $340.16. 6.2H approves the purchase of library books for McDonald Elementary School's Reading Olympics. District cost not to exceed $663.25. 6.2I approves the purchase of library books for Willowdale Elementary School's Reading Olympics. District cost not to exceed $272.05. 6.2J approves the purchase of library books for William Tennant High School's Reading Olympics. District cost not to exceed $183.73. And 6.2K approves the purchase of digital licenses for La Brea decodable texts to be used by elementary reading specialists. District cost not to exceed $537. 6.2L approves the purchase of second step special education curriculum. District cost not to exceed $21,888. 6.2M approves the purchase of STAR Autism Support Curriculum. District cost not to exceed $24,865. 6.2N approves the purchase of Reading Horizons Special Education Curriculum. District cost not to exceed $89,782.97. And 6.20 approves the purchase of the Attainment Company Supplemental Special Education Curriculum. District cost not to exceed $12,471.90.
Second.
Any discussions? Great. Any discussion?
I do have a question in regards to, this is Fleming.
Yep.
In regards to the TSI
Yes.
plan, Mr. Rutz just, gave us this beautiful report, how well we are improving and moving forward. Are we getting any closer to getting out of this?
Out of the,
Mr. Rutz is coming up to the podium.
yeah, thank you.
We're working toward it. There's not an easy answer, Mr. Goddixon. One thing to keep in mind with any of the TSI plans is that they are lagging indicators. So we're dealing with data that's 3 years old because the running record is 3 years of data. So it does point out demographics. And off the top of my head, I apologize, what the two indicators are. But yes, we are looking at that, and that's through scheduling, that's through programming, but we are addressing that. It is a challenge, I will say, not an excuse, but a reason. It is challenging because we're working on a problem now that was identified from data from a cohort 3 years ago. Those students are not those students. But yes, and the high school team, Dr. Calabrese and Dr. Caracappa, are doing a wonderful job addressing it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, as I see, the data is improving, and
Yes.
you would assume that you were moving.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind, not to diminish this at all, and I think in Dr. Calabrese's PowerPoint that she added, I believe she added the number, the end number, the number of students that you're talking about in that category. And I believe you only need, I want to say 20, and I could be off on that, but the number could be 20 in that cohort, Mr. Goddixon, that is triggering that ATSI plan. So you could have a cohort as few as 20 with the graduation rate, or the, not achievement, but the growth on a Keystone exam, and that N of 20, that number of 20 will trigger the ATSI or TSI.
Good to know.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Any other questions or discussion?
No hands are up.
Okay, great. And I think, Mr. Sadowski, you seconded?
I did.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, then the motion passed 9-0.
Thank you, Mrs. DiPaolo.
Thank you.
Mrs.
Thank
Krieger, Finance Committee?
Yep, the Pennsylvania School District Liquid Asset Fund, the rate as of the 21st, the 7-day average rate was 3.45, the daily rate is 3.44. So over the last couple of months, it's been going down a point or two. We started out at the beginning at 3.5, so we're just earning less than our money. All right, next, 7.2, items presented for approval tonight. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of Directors, 7.2A, award art supply bid 2026-08 to Blick Art, Cascade School Supplies, Freestyle Photographic Supplies, Kurtz Brothers, Lakeshore Learning, Medco Supply, National Art and School Supplies, Pyramid Schools Products, Quill, S&S Worldwide, School Specialty, and Sheffield Pottery in the aggregate amount of $52,061.17. 7.2B, award stock supply bid 2026-08 6-14 to Cascade School Supplies, Kurtz Brothers, National Art and School Supplies, Pyramid School Products, Quill, and WB Mason, the aggregate amount of $23,063.29. 7.2C award athletic equipment and supplies bid 26-12 to BSN Sports, D&J Sports, Longworth Sporting Goods, Pyramid School Products, Riddell, S&S Worldwide, School Health, School Specialty, and Sportsman in the aggregate amount of $27,282.62. 7.2D award food service chemicals RFP 26-11 to Crystal Chemical for the 26-27, 27-28, and 28-29 school years. Purchases will be as needed throughout the 3 school years. District cost not to exceed $12,000 per year. 7.2E, award the fleet repairs, parts, and accessories bid 26-13 to Associated Truck Sales, Wright Bill Body Works, Cummins Sales and Service, D&W Diesel, DPF Services, Del Val International Truck, Fred Beans Parts, CarQuest of Doylestown, Freightliner Western Star of Philadelphia, Jasper Engine, Lawson Products, Razzies, Auto Radiator Lubricants, and Wolfington Body Company at the attached discount levels for purchases needed for the 2026 through 2029 school years. And 7.2F, award furniture bid 26-07 to Kurtz Brothers and WD Mason, district cost not to exceed $26,194.41.
Second.
Anybody have any questions? I do. The question is, with these RFPs, do we know roughly, was there any financial benefit to doing each one of these? Did we, over prior years, save money?
Of course.
No, but, I mean, do you have a sense of what it was for each of these? Like, I know we talked about the furniture one, and you said, I think you went back to the furniture one, and based on the need for furniture for the 3rd classroom, you were able to save money on it. But because I'm looking at this list and saying, this is a hell of a lot of vendors again, and, you know, we're trying to consolidate vendors, and we have to buy the stuff from who can supply them, and I just want to know, was there any benefit to doing it?
I think there's obviously always a benefit in doing it, right? And I think as we discussed at the Finance Committee meeting, right, some vendors bid lower than other vendors on certain products, and right, the ability to consolidate them is something that we discussed looking into in the summer as we prepare to start the new school year. But yes, there's always the opportunity to send the RFP out and do the legwork is always going to save us money. The furniture one was a one-off, right? Looking at, we had a estimate of about $25,000 for the furniture that we had just gotten outside of the RFP process, and when we compared that to the work that Donna Brazel had done with the furniture RFP, we saved, $6,000 or $7,000, right? So it went from 25 to 19, 18 and change. So that's another example of, to your point, pushing things into a centralized purchasing to make sure we get those.
Right, but you got to self-market. Come on.
You just saved $7,000 to our taxpayers. Thank you. Good job, Mr. Greenwood.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? 9-0.
Thank you, Mrs. Krieger. Mr. Sadowski, Operations Committee?
Yes, 8.1 items presented for information tonight, none. 8.2 items presented for approval tonight. Would anyone like anything pulled, or can I go through the full list? Hearing none.
I would like to talk,
Oh,
Mr.
ahead, Mrs.
Sadowski,
Bella.
8.2, thanks, 8.2B. I just had a question, and I can wait till you go through.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors, 8.2A, approves the disposal of vehicles to Wilcox Salvage as scrap with proceeds totaling $6,841.26 and the sale of a trailer through Municipid for $2,000. 8.2C approves the security camera upgrades and installation of new cameras at Davis Elementary, district cost not to exceed $16,502. And 8.2D approves the software maintenance and services renewals for the 2026-27 school year, district cost not to exceed $329,246.25. Do I have a second on those?
Second.
Any discussion on those 3 items? Yes, sir.
I will be abstaining on 8.2A. One or more of the bidders are a customer of mine, so.
Okay. Any other follow-up on those? Seeing none, all in favor of 8.2A, C, and D?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? One abstention, passes 801. And back to 8.2B. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors approves retroactively a 25% reduction of fees for the Archbishop Wood swim team to use the William Tennant High School pool from November 25th, 2025 through March 2026. Cost to Archbishop Wood with the discount is $4,020.
Second.
Discussion, Mrs. DiPaolo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sadowski. So this already occurred, November 2025 through March 2026.
Correct.
So I guess the question is they haven't paid that bill yet. Or is it, I guess that's my question. So we're approving it now, but it already happened. Does that make sense? I mean, my question is, did they already pay to use the facility, or?
Mr. Greenwood is looking it up right now.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Greenwood, and thank you, Mrs. Crossan, for, like I said, there's a lag on my end here on the live stream. And then I guess my other question is, we always give them a discount, and I don't want this to sound terrible, but my question is, I guess, why we also do the same when they use our track. So I guess my question is just why we offer the discount.
So
And if
while
anyone-
Mrs. Paulo, it's Mr.
Yeah.
Wortman, while Mr. Greenwood looks up the swim club one, we give them a discount based on our board policy, our district policy, depending on the number of in-district students that live within the district that are using the pool or the track or whatever. We have a set 25% reduction or a 50% reduction depending on the percentage of in-district students. So that
Gotcha. So there's-
25% is based on they met that criteria.
Perfect, and we have a policy for that.
Yes.
And they are taxpayers.
Perfect. I know they are. Yep, I was just curious, and that's good to know that we do have a policy. Thank you. I was just asking for clarification on that. I just never understood why we did the discount, but that makes sense now. Thank you.
So back to the swim team, that was not paid yet, but it was for that period of time. The paperwork was found it wasn't issued, so we went back and put it on the agenda so we could get paid for that
Paid.
time. So.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wortman. And,
Question, Mr.
Thank you,
Wortman.
Mr. Greenwood.
And can
Thank
we
you.
then anticipate that they're going to ask for this for the coming school year as well and get them?
Yes.
Send this permission in sooner?
So we've tightened up our procedures between schools, that everything that's going to cause a reduction cost comes to us prior to the request or the approval through the school. So
I'm looking
Perfect.
for,
Yep,
an
that's
approval before it happens instead of after it happens.
exactly. So next year, before the high school says you can use the swimming pool, the paperwork has to come over here for to look at reduction.
All right.
So.
Perfect. Thank
Did they
you.
ever get an increase in price? No, I just want to understand, like, if, as an example, they're using it, chemicals, I know where I live, the chemicals for our pools have gone up dramatically. So the question is, if they're using the pool, I mean, yes, you give them a discount, but also are you taking into account any of the increase in costs in terms of running the pool?
Well, we're about to get more money from them because we just did a tax increase, so let's let them,
Well, for
let's let them
next year.
slide.
So that's part of the policy. We would have to rewrite the policy. Everything's set. Hey, if you're going to use the gymnasium at the high school, it's this amount. And then if you have a percentage of Warminster 100%, you get 50% reduction. So everything is in the policy. Middle school track is a cinder track, so it's not as much to rent as the high school track.
Right.
So it's already in the policy as a set fee. We would have to revisit that policy and potentially rewrite.
How old is the policy?
I can't answer that.
20
We can
years
take
old?
Mrs.
Seven.
Krieger.
7 years.
But I do believe the prices were updated a few years ago, because I
It
kind of
did come up.
remember.
The the equation was discussed a few years
Yes.
back, but I think it was just the percentages were adjusted more than anything.
So we're bearing the brunt of all the additional costs. Exactly.
Well, we can take a look at the policy, Mrs. Krieger.
That's fair.
Yep.
Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Wortman.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Any
All
further
right.
discussion on 8.2B? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 9-0.
Okay. So before we move on to board comments, does anybody mind, do we have a community comment?
Not at all.
Okay. So for community comments, you're going to come up to the mic. There is, you just going to give your name, and you don't have to say your address, but where you live, and you have 3 minutes.
Sure. My name is Neil Miller. I live in Warminster. And I have a quick question for Mr. Hartline. Item 3.2 on the agenda was the 2026-2027 general budget. I noted that you voted no on this, despite the fact that you are on the Finance Committee and therefore were instrumental in creating this budget. What was your rationale behind your vote?
Well, it's okay. I'll answer the question. Generally, for these, we don't answer questions for the public as part of the discussion, but that's okay. For the last 5 years, for the last 2 years that I was on the board, I asked for full funding and did not get it. And I had 3 individuals that opposed me routinely on that, even though we consistently asked for full funding. And I voted as a protest this year. If you look back at my record over the last 10 years that I've been on the board, I think I voted for increases 8 times, knowing that the district has to do it.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just to clarify that, on my end, I did vote yes for the increase because we have a plan. Last year, we have some new board members. Last year, there was no set plan. We had the same players except for 2, well, actually 3, but we didn't have a plan to sustain the deficit, to bring it down. There was no changes made. I voted no, and I know Mr. Sadowski voted no because he wanted to go to the full Act 1. They're the reasons that they didn't go through last year. We made significant improvements this year, and that's why we're going through, not to mention that we made it crystal clear, sending information out to the community, that we do have to fund our special education students. It must be done. They deserve an education. We just need to get funding from the government to help do this for these unfunded mandates. That is why it didn't go through last year. Well, it did pass last year, but we did not support it because there were no changes made.
And that's despite the fact that for 2 years, Finance asked administration to make 75% of the changes that were made this year by the new administrative team.
The only difference, we had our administration here last year.
No, we didn't.
You did not have a new superintendent last
We
year.
had an old superintendent.
Not last year, you did not.
Yes, we did.
Dr. Lukabal was here last year.
No, he didn't. Dr. Lukabal came in July.
Right.
The budget was passed in July.
Dr. Lukabal was here doing that,
No,
when we were
for
going
2
back and
days.
forth.
For 2 days.
Right. So, but
No,
what
I'm saying,
changed?
but the previous administration had been asked to make adjustments and changes, and they were never done.
There was nothing. Every time something would come up, the answer was no. Nobody wanted to increase.
To be fair, they also asked the board what we were willing to actually negotiate.
And the answer was
We asked
none.
them to come back with a plan, and they never did.
Right, because.
Yes,
it was
we
the-
did.
the back
No,
and forth of
absolutely not.
No,
actually
if you go
You can't
back
push it
doing
on to
work.
administration.
2024,
This board made no changes. None. We made no changes last year.
administration did not come to us with changes.
Administration can't
requested
make
to.
changes without us.
They were requested to come to them the same way this administration was requested to do it, and they did it.
We had, Tom Greenwood did an excellent job presenting stuff to us, and everything he brought to us, the answer was no. You cannot say he did not give us advice. He did, and the answer was no. That's why it didn't go through.
And
This
did you
year,
vote
there
yes
were
on any of
changes
them?
made. Some of them, not on the budget, no. I said
No, you
absolutely
didn't.
not, because no changes were made. We will be in the same
When we
position
asked
as we
for
were this year.
when we asked for a realignment at the high school, for them to come back with a plan. We were told it would take a year to do it. We said, please come back with a plan. They failed to come back with a plan.
That's one item. What
That's
about all the
main
other?
item.
No, what about
Yes,
all the
it
other
is.
things that
We asked the
Mr.
same
Greenwood
thing
gave
with
us?
special education,
He
and
worked
nothing came back with special
endlessly to
education.
present us with information.
It wasn't Mr.
And this
Greenwood.
board did nothing.
It's not Mr. Greenwood that did it.
This
was
year,
the
it went
previous
through, and it was
administration.
successful.
You have your opinion, I have mine.
Moving right along. We're going to go to board comments. Do we have any board
I just have a
comments? Mrs.
question.
Krieger?
I have a question with regard to stormwater management. Did you guys have the meeting with Sean Kilkenny and WMA, and are we still going to escrow the taxes?
We did, and we are.
Good.
And did they give any argument as to why it's not going to be viable over the long term, and we're going to have to pay them later anyway? Was their lawyer there?
Yes.
And what happened?
We agreed to disagree, and we are following the advice of
Okay.
our solicitor.
Okay, thank you very much.
We'll pay their legal bill.
Mr. Martin?
Quick comment and a question. Quick comment, I had a chance to review the William Tennant yearbook over the last couple of weeks, and I will say it is an excellent job by whoever put that together. It's probably the best yearbook I have seen. I like to leaf through the yearbooks. I know some of the kids and the teachers, the activity. This was a very, very well done yearbook this year, and whoever had to put that together, I commend them for a good job. Well done. My question is there any further information regarding, we're not meeting till mid-August, I guess, on the transportation for the band trip? We had that discussion at the last meeting regarding
Yes.
looking at the cost of private versus taking our school buses with all the risks that are involved with that. And I just was curious, can't wait till the last minute to make any changes or additions.
Or
Well,
can we
Mr.
look into
Martin,
it?
actually, I have a little update on that. Mr. Martin, thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot to mention this. I did speak with Mr. Seifert after the meeting and asked him to get me numbers of what it would cost to use like private busing, kind of like those coach buses that we talked about. So he's trying to pull together some numbers just as a kind of a fact-finding thing. I didn't commit to anything or promise anything. I just asked him to get those numbers, letting him know that we had a discussion after last month's board meeting about it. So I'm just waiting for him to get back to me with some numbers, which I, will share with the board once he gets that information to me.
Thank you so much. I hope he includes Mr. Wertman, who's responsible really for the transportation in the district. He didn't know anything about it, the best of my knowledge.
And I think, yeah, and I talked to Mr. Seifert about that too, Mr. Martin. I think, what he did was he talked to transportation. I think he ran it by transportation. I think that's what he thought the process was. So, I guess he was waiting to see if it would be approved. But I think he thought that all he needed to do was contact, sorry, I cannot remember her name. Beth, is it Beth? In transportation?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, thank you so much. I know he talked with Jennifer, so I don't think he thought he needed to reach out to Mr. Wertman. So it might have been an oversight, but I don't think there was any reason that he didn't reach out to Mr. Wertman. I just don't think it occurred to him to do that.
Thank you. Enjoy your vacation.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Martin. Thank you.
All right. Any additional board comments?
I just want to, it's Chris again, I just want to mention that I saw we had a proposal from Carroll Engineering Corporation. And I hope this is appropriate to mention, but that is the engineer that the Ivy Land Borough uses. And I know we've been very happy with their services. Just wanted to mention that publicly.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. All right, the next meeting of the Committee of the Whole will be held September 22nd, 2026. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, everybody have a good evening.